Hello, and thank you for watching this video on the Cookdown ServiceNow Monitoring Management Pack for SCOM. So let me just start off by introducing myself. So my name is Bruce Cullen. I am the Director of Products here at Cookdown. And yes, as I said, today we're here to talk about ServiceNow monitoring from SCOM. So let me just be a bit clearer on what exactly we're talking about here. So we are talking about monitoring ServiceNow, the SaaS thing, from SCOM, the Microsoft on-prem monitoring thing. We're not talking about here sort of mid-server monitoring or monitoring of SCOM from ServiceNow. We're specifically talking about monitoring ServiceNow, the SaaS product, from SCOM, the Microsoft monitoring product. So next question that kind of comes to mind if we're talking about this topic is, why would you do it? ServiceNow obviously has monitoring capabilities built into it that will tell you when it goes down. So why would you even consider bringing SCOM into the mix? The answer is really simple to this one. ServiceNow can tell you when it's down, but it can't tell you what your users see. Only you and your company can see what your users see. With SCOM, we can do outside-in monitoring of ServiceNow. And obviously with SCOM, you can raise alerts for any sort of performance issues that might arise. This might be issues relating to the ServiceNow itself or to do with something in between your end users and ServiceNow. So that's why you would consider doing it. Let's just dig into the specifics here. So I've got a fictitious example here for you for my fake company. Let's call it Contoso to keep Microsoft happy here. So we have one site called Barcelona and one site in London, which is our head office site. And we've got users in both sites connecting to ServiceNow. ServiceNow is happy and green and everything is working. Users are happy, everyone's happy. Good times. But then something happens between the London office and ServiceNow. So this could be anything from, dodgy Dave from IT has patched the firewall and broken something or mucked around with firewall rules. Or it could be some contractors have dug up the road outside the head office building and broken the internet or something. But as far as Dave is concerned, as far as the guy in the London site is concerned, let's call him Steve for a second. He can't access ServiceNow. He doesn't know why. It might be he can't access more things. We don't know. Obviously, there are many types of detailed monitoring that will tell you exactly what's going on here. We're not talking about doing that today. We're just talking about getting a sort of early insight when your users aren't able to connect to ServiceNow, rather than telling you what exactly the problem is. So in this case here, Steve from our London site will end up ringing Julia in our Barcelona site, which is where the help desk is, and going, hey, I can't access ServiceNow. What's going on? Julia will log into ServiceNow and have a look at all the stats, and everything will say it's green, it's happy, it's healthy, and what's going on. So this is all about getting a bit of insight as to when something happens and start to figure out what's going on with our management pack. So what exactly are we talking about? Let's get a bit more specific here. So what you see on screen is a DA, distributed application, or screenshot of one from the SCOM console. In the middle here, we have our Cookdown ServiceNow instance, which is cookdown.service-now.com. And we have that itself. We have set up our monitoring MP to keep an eye on it from 3 different locations. We have Barcelona, London head office, where Steve is, and Miami, another remote site. We also have at the bottom these things that begin app something. What are these? These are the nodes themselves that underpin our ServiceNow instance. They're obviously very important for the operation of ServiceNow. ServiceNow will load balance users and workloads between these nodes. So another reason why you might see odd performance issues is if one node is particularly busy and another node is quiet. And that's what the result is of our management pack, if you like. Monitoring and a lovely diagram that looks like this for your instances. So let's now jump out of slides and have a look at a demo of this thing, because seeing is believing. So obviously this is the SCOM console. And here we have it, Cookdown Community ServiceNow Monitoring MP. I haven't set it up as sort of completely as I could, but here it is. It's installed. What do we do next? So the next thing that we do is we need to provide accounts and credentials for the management pack to talk to ServiceNow. So in accounts, I've created a ServiceNow monitoring account. In SCOM, I've added it to a profile that is installed when you import the MP. Here it is. So we've associated those accounts credentials with this and distributed them to all of the locations that we're watching from. I'll come on to the specifics of that in a second. The other thing I've done, which I'm not going to show you because it's a bit more involved, is we've actually in ServiceNow created this service account itself and given it permissions to the correct table. There are no sort of roles out of the box with ServiceNow that give you just what you need, but there's instructions on support.cookdown.com that tell you exactly how to do this, so you're not kind of left figuring it out for yourself. So that's all in place in my environment. So what next? It's all off by default. Let's have a look. So if I go to authoring, here I am under management pack objects, object discoveries. We have our by default switched off discovery to discover ServiceNow instances from those watchers. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn it on. We're going to override the object discovery for a specific object of Windows Computer. So in other words, we're going to pick a Windows computer that we want to monitor ServiceNow from. So this is an example. This is my Infra SQL 01 box. I like to monitor ServiceNow from there. And we have three parameters to configure here. I'm going to fiddle with all of them. The first one is enabled and disabled. So obviously, unless this is flipped to true, it will do nothing. The next thing, really, really important, is the ServiceNow instance that you want to have a look at. So I'm going to pick my ServiceNow dev instance here, which is one of those throwaway dev instances from ServiceNow. And I'm going to paste it in here. One thing to note about this instance URL, let me just make this slightly bigger to make this a bit clearer, is you need to include a trailing slash at the end of the instance URL, otherwise discoveries will fail. The other thing that's really cool about this is you can actually put in multiples here. So you can put in two ServiceNow instances, and it's a comma separated list. So you could put in a dev and a test instance, for example. And then the final thing you provide is a friendly name, which your watcher will be called. So let's call it the Caravan Outback, something like that. Whatever. And finally, obviously, we pick a location to store the overrides we're creating. I've already got a management pack here with some stuff in called ServiceNow Monitoring Configuration. So I'm going to click OK on this. This is setting everything up from SQL 01, this box here. This isn't the only thing I have set up. If I go into overrides summary for the discovery, you will see I've already configured a few other watches and instances. Rather than pick over the overrides, we'll have a look at what else we get here. So if I go to monitoring now, you will see under ServiceNow Monitoring Community, we've stuck a few views to make things easy for everyone out there to figure out what's going on. I'm going to start on instances here. So here we go. Here is my Cookdown test instance. I get some cool information about it, such as the version of ServiceNow it's running, the database version, the patch revision, the service offering, all that kind of thing is here. And obviously, is it healthy or not? There we go. There's my new dev instance that I just added there, discovered already, which is awesome. So those are the instances. We also have nodes here. So these are the nodes from my screenshot that underpin my ServiceNow instances. So these two at the bottom here are for a single ServiceNow instance, Cookdown test. So there's two nodes here that make this instance up. It's a vendor instance, so I would kind of expect there to be two or more. And this top one here is my dev instance, which is the free ones you get from developers, the developer ServiceNow website, which is not load balanced, a single node only. Not surprising, but there we go. We also see the watches themselves. We've got the names of the watchers that I've given them, their friendly names. We've got the path to them and the ServiceNow instance that they're watching, along with the all-important health state. The other things that we give you out of the box here are some views that kind of get you going with the performance counters. So these are all just mined from ServiceNow from their APIs directly. So all of this is available within ServiceNow itself. None of this is kind of added by us, if that makes sense. So for the database, for example, there are counters relating to deletes, selects over 1 second can be quite a useful one. I haven't got lots of data here because my lab's not been on for very long today, but you get the idea. Quite useful to see performance bottlenecks here. If I go now to user activity, same kind of idea. We can see how many users there are logged in right now to each of my ServiceNow instances. If I look at my dev logged in count, you can see I've been logging in and out over the course of the day as I've set up for this webinar, for this video. You get the idea. Quite useful for figuring out how ServiceNow has load balanced users across instances as well. And all important, we have installation and setup. So this is just an iframe essentially. This is our support webpage, support.cookdown.com. So all of the documentation on how to set this thing up is here. So this is creating a ServiceNow role through to importing the MP. All of this information is available on our website. If you get lost at any point, really important. There's one other thing to show which is really key. If I go to watchers now and I pick this watcher I just set up, the caravan out back for my ServiceNow dev instance, and go to performance view, there's one unique counter here. Let me just check it. So this is basically the latency between SCOM, my SCOM watcher, and ServiceNow itself. So this is really key because ServiceNow will tell you if everything's looking good from their end, but as far as your users are considered, in the caravan out back, in my fictitious fun example, things might not be so rosy. They might have really high latency that might be causing all kinds of problems, for example, and obviously the health state as well will give you an indication as to what's going on. Obviously, really low latency in my demo lab. As you can see here, we have an Azure hosted lab that's in the same location essentially as ServiceNow is. So expected this to be low if there was high latency here. It would say something's up with Azure itself or ServiceNow. But really, really useful for tracking down kind of weird performance issues over time. And again, all of this data you can alert off of. And that is the ServiceNow Monitoring MP. Really awesome and free resource. And there it is. So all that's left to do is head over to cookdown.com and download it today. And obviously contribute on GitHub. You may or may not know this already, but this management pack is obviously free. But in addition to being free, it's also open source. So if you like it, but you want it to do something else, feel free to branch it, contribute, create PRs to merge things back in, all of that kind of good stuff. And we always are up for feedback. If there are features you're particularly interested in seeing in this management pack, either add them yourself, obviously it's open source, or let us know. We're looking at mid-server monitoring right now from SCOM, which would be, we think, a particularly cool use case. But if there's anything else that you think, yes, that would be really, really useful, then feel free to let us know. We'd love to hear that feedback. So if you like what you've seen, head over to cookdown.com and download it there. You can always email us at hello@cookdown.com, and we're on Twitter at @team_cookdown. One final thing just to show you before we go, which is, I keep mentioning open source. Here it is on GitHub, the source code for this. So it's real, and we really do want contributions from you guys. There we are. And that's everything I have to show you today. So thank you very much for watching today's video. Hope you've enjoyed it. And if there are any questions, let us know. And if not, thank you very much.